Hello, welcome to my channel, Ingrid Hill Art. Thanks ever so much for joining me. In today's short video, I'm just sharing with you a quick watercolour sketchbook study I did, exercise in loosening up. I'll often like to do a quick exercise if I've been away from painting for a few days for whatever reason. So before I get into something more serious on a proper sheet of stretched watercolour paper or heavyweight paper, I like to warm up and loosen up in a sketchbook or on old sheets. I suppose it's a bit like if you're going to the gym, you do your stretches and you warm up before you started your exercise. And that's what this sort of study is for me. I've just prepared a sheet previously. I prepare various ones within a book, so then I can flick through and choose one at any point when I want to do a quick warm up. And for this one, it's an old page actually from a novel I had when I was a teenager, so it's quite old. And I've stuck it into my book with acrylic binder and previously prepared it with watercolour ground, so it's ready to accept the watercolour washes. And I've just simply drawn a couple of dragonflies towards the top. I've actually popped them in an area where the text is showing through, and it's beautiful italic text that's showing through. I think the book, it's one of the Lord of the Rings books that I'd read quite a few times, and it was literally falling to pieces. So it's got some lovely italic text at the top. So I've used that area to pop in the dragonflies with their lovely, elegant wings and shapes against the elegant type that's showing through. And then I'm just really playing with the watercolour, embracing the fluidity, allowing it to bleed and blend together. Splattered the paper first with a little bit of water, so in some areas the paper was damp, in other areas it's lovely and dry, so I can get really lovely crisp edges, and in other areas the colours will bleed and blend together. In something like this, I'm never worried about cauliflowers or runbacks. I quite like happy accidents. All I'm really doing is just enjoying applying the paint. At the bottom here, I wanted to have some deeper, richer tones and colour coming through. So it looks quite dark on the film, but actually as it dries, you'll start to see it's quite a nice purple mixed in here. So that it's got that really lovely, deep, rich colour. And I'm going to pop in a bit more yellowy green so that we get the nice complementary colour in the bottom area with the purples and the yellows. I want a bit of vibrant colour, so I'm just this one's Permanent Rose. It's Winsor & Newton Artists Permanent Rose, and I'm just popping a little bit of this lovely vibrant pink on, and then softening it back with some water so it becomes a little bit more hazy and into the distance. Again, I've just gone for slightly more bluey mix now into the bottom corners, and say adding this yellow in. So I'm getting some of that complementary with the purples as they dry. When I'm doing something like this, I always think of water as my friend. I'm using watercolour after all, but rather being worried about having too much water on or not allowing things to bleed together, I'll allow the things to move and blend, and I'll go with how the blends of the different washes work together. I'm just going to pop in some of my favourite colour at the moment. This is Raw Umber Violet, and it's a really beautiful pinky brown, and I'm adding more Permanent Rose into it, so it's making a really lovely rich pinky brown, and I'm going to use that almost to suggest seed heads from grasses, and these are going to be a little bit bolder than the previous pinks, so hopefully they'll be coming forward. The previous pinks that I popped on that were very soft will go off into the background. So I'm aiming to give a little bit of depth to this area, so it's almost as if you're looking through a bit of a meadow. But I'm not going to get hung up or worried at all about this. The whole idea of this is to just play, just have fun, not be restrained by a drawing and trying to stick within the lines. It's really just looking at the wash as I'm putting it on, looking at areas where I might wish to add more colour, other areas where I want to keep those lovely first fluid washes, and not overpainting them and not losing them. I think I'll need a bit more colour it just towards the top, but I don't want to lose the italic text that's showing through, so I will put a few more bits higher up in a moment, but I want to be careful I don't put too much at the top. Getting really vibrant colours here now, vibrant tones. And remember, as this dries, the watercolour will become paler, so hopefully you can start to see that lovely soft purples now in the bottom left corner where that colour's drying. I do love using a palette knife to scratch through wet watercolour washes, and what will happen sometimes, as you can see in the bottom corner, it'll lift the paint off, and if the paint is still quite damp, the paint will seep back in to the area that I've scratched, and it will leave lovely little darker areas where the paint is gathering in those scratched marks. Other times, if it's not quite so damp, you'll scratch it off and it will leave white areas, and you'll get white, almost like white grasses or rushes showing through. So it's really effective. I'm using a dagger brush from Rosemary & Co. I'd say at the moment this is my favourite brush, and I use it ever such a lot. The other one that I use a lot at the moment is the extended point, which you can just see at the minute sitting on the palette, and that's really good for finer marks, but also for bouncing to make little irregular marks. Great for seed heads. Oh, good bit of splatter. I do love a bit of splatter. Yeah, so it works having a bit in that top corner to put a bit of colour up there, but without making it too heavy, so that when I do paint the dragonflies in, they show through. Just moving a couple of marks where the splatter has come out, and it's quite large spots, so I've just softened them and adding to them. Oh, the sun's gone in here, so it looks a little bit dull where the sun's gone off of it, but actually the colours are quite vibrant. It's lovely painting the dragonflies in. I've just gone for a Windsor blue here with some lemon yellow, and dipping in some of the other colours in the palette, but the Windsor blue gives that lovely vibrant colour which I wanted for the dragonflies, and with the yellow it almost becomes a little bit iridescent. So this is the only bit, I'm just being a little bit more careful here, just to get the shape of them. A little bit deeper for the body so that it really shows up. I need to darken the wings where they join the body to really emphasize it. I'll put a bit more dark down the left of the body and then take a bit out onto those wings, just to make them a little bit more 3D. Adding the final darks. It's lovely when you get to this stage, adding the last little bits. I have to remind myself not to put too much on. Less is more sometimes, so keep looking and deciding where I'm popping it. I'm probably going to add a little bit of pen. So at the end, I'll pop a photo on at the end showing you the finished study. But the whole idea is to warm up and have fun. I'm going to take the tape off. Love taking the tape off. Always really nice, that last reveal when the tape's taken off from around the outside and you go back, you get your nice edges. Just a few final marks on here before I finish that off. Final bits of splatter. I'll pop a photo on at the end showing the sketchbook study. I often put a little bit of collage or papers on the opposite page to show it up.